Our next stop along the way was actually a place called Kissufim. So we were going off the beaten track. These are not the places where a lot of people get to go, and we were very thankful to Rabbi who took us there. Rabbi knew the people in all these places because unfortunately they had to work there in trying to help with all the many retrievals of body parts in these places. We went to Kissufim, which is a beautiful kibbutz. Also, we got to meet Ronnie. Ronnie is the Rav Shatz, which means the head of security in the kibbutz, and he took us through the day. He described what it was like when he woke up in the morning at 6:30. He starts hearing the alarms, realizing that something is wrong. He gave a command to all his kids to his entire rapid response team to be armed and out because he said there was something unusual. And as he was going out of his own house, he saw 4 terrorists approaching. He had just got his gun from his house, and at that point in time he didn't even have his jacket on. Immediately just fired an entire magazine in the direction of those terrorists, killing 2 of them, in order to buy 1 minute of time. Why did he need 1 minute? To run back into the house to bring his 2 daughters into the mamad, into the sheltered room where his wife and other 2 children were sleeping. And just within that minute he managed to get them there while they were still asleep, put them in the mamad, went to the kitchen window and started defending his house.
הזאתי נועדה כדי לקחת 2 בנות שלי שעוד לא התעוררו אפילו, הם עדיין היו בשינה, לקחת אותם מתוך הממ"ד ולשים אותם בחדר, בממ"ד השני, ששם יש לי עוד 2 ילדים ואישה. סך הכל 4 ילדים, אישה, הקטנה שלי בת 7, הגדולה בת 16 וחצי. בסדר? אז אני שם אותם ביחד באותו הממ"ד, ואני חוזר לחלון הזה פה למעלה. יוצא עם הנשק החוצה, והחבר'ה האלה מתחילים להגיע לפה. הראשון,
Terrorists were approaching. He managed to kill another 2 terrorists as they approached the house. His gun jammed, so he pulled out his own personal revolver and tried to stop the terrorists who was already on the steps. At which point he went back to the window and a grenade came through the window. He ran around the corner to get into the sheltered room, closed the door just as it exploded, and the grenade blew open the apartment, blew open the front door, and the terrorists entered. They had a 10-minute battle, him holding the handle of the secure room, trying to stave off the terrorists with his family right behind him. He only had 10 bullets left in his revolver's chamber, and he was keeping 6 of them because he knew that if they were to get in, he would want to use them for his family, that terrorists should not take hold of them. He also noted that the terrorists had come to his house first because they knew he was the Rav Shatz. Even though he's not a public persona, he doesn't go on TV, they knew who he was and where he was, and they were coming for him. And he described that after they tried to shoot at the door and the bullets would not go through and they couldn't get in because he was holding the door, they decided to make their headquarters his house. And so they set up, there was always 2 terrorists there for 12 hours. He held the door to ensure the terrorists could not come into his house. And they carried on trying in different houses, and they killed a number of people and burnt a number of people alive. He describes how his neighbors were found, these people just across the road from him. The mother and daughter were found on the bed, all hugging each other. The father was by the door with a dog and with a knife in his hand, all burnt alive in their apartment. And he described one by one, neighbor by neighbor, all the people who perished in that battle. When the terrorists realized they couldn't take control of this area, they just tried to create as much destruction as they possibly could.
הם מתים בתוך הבית. אני יכול להגיד לכם שאני חיפשתי אותם במשך חודש וחצי, לא מצאתי אותם. עברתי בתוך הבית הזה 1,000,000 פעמים, ובסוף מה שעשינו זה להביא ארכיאולוגים. הארכיאולוגים היא מסננת פשוט, מצאנו שאריות שם.
Fortunately for a 300-person kibbutz, a beautiful kibbutz, they lost 18 people, which is a huge number for that small kibbutz, and 1 hostage. The hostage is a person by the name of Shlomo, who's 85 years old. And they only started talking about it yesterday, as they were coming to terms with this. And Ronnie is not a public person at all. He doesn't like to talk about these things, but he felt that it was important processing, but also so the world should know that the story should be told as well. We feel like we have a very important part of that. As he got after 12 hours, when the army finally broke into his mamad and escaped, they were allowed to escape. He brought his family to the bus to get them evacuated, and then he returned to his duties as the head of security, because it took another 6 days to kill all the other terrorists and secure the region. They had to go house to house to be able to extract the families and kill the terrorists who were still attacking for another 6 days at Kissufim as well. And when we said to him, like, wow, we really felt, and we see this man, an ordinary man, is a chicken farmer. That's his job. And he said, and we said, it's amazing. Like, heroes don't wear capes here. what he said was an amazing thing. He said, I'm not a hero. I woke up and I had a choice to make. Am I going to help save these people? Am I going to help save my family or not? And that was the job I had to do today. And he begged us and he said, I'm telling you the story because I want you to come back here in 3 years' time. I want you to come back and see what we've built out of this mess as well. And I think that's our job. It's not just to tell the story, but also continue to watch that story unfold.
Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Echad. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Echad. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Echad. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Echad.
Ronnie was showing us around and telling us about how crazy that day was and what his entire day was like. 12 out killing 2 terrorists and being in a shelter the entire day with his family and his 4 daughters and holding the door. And knowing that 2 terrorists are sitting in his kitchen, which was 2 steps away from his mamad. And then thank God the Israeli army came and shot them and saved them. And he took his family to a bus. And what would we do? We would get on that freaking bus with our family and run away. And he said, no, I have to go back and protect my kibbutz, and I have to go back and find more terrorists. And he sent his family on their way after the most harrowing day of his life, and he continued to fight for Israel. And that, to me, was just mind-boggling, that everybody we met has put Eretz Israel, the Medina Israel, before themselves and their family. I can never forget something like that.